Okay, guys, welcome back to Mike on the Mic. And today we have a very interesting one. And I am Mr. Busy, so I do many different things at work, at home, at play. And today we have Emily Chee Wah, who is a leadership and executive coach at Your Life Path. Is that correct? Right.
That's correct. Very good.
And I brought her here because I use this as my format for the on the job training, the OJT, and I pick nuggets from people in my community to be able to help me to help you, and through the conversation try to reach the wider Trinidad and Tobago. Emily, how important is it to have a work-life balance?
Mike. Wow. Well, I mean, without balance, we'll all just fall flat on our faces, right? So we need
Agree.
some kind of balance. We all need, for well-being, we need to have, a handle on all aspects of our life. And I think the thing about balance, or the thing that gets us tripped up with balance, is when we feel like it must be set in stone. So sometimes we have to work longer. Sometimes we have to, things are happening at the home. Sometimes, we have different priorities calling us. And flexibility is really important in balance. Think of riding a bike. If you're not going to be able to move with the earth beneath you, you're going to fall off the bike. So balance is kind of like that. It's very important, but it's not static. So we mustn't
Hmm.
get tripped up by set rules too much. The rules are helpful because it gives us boundaries, or it gives us a sort of a structure to work with, but we must be flexible in order to have and feel balanced.
But
Mm-hmm.
to the audience out there who might be asking, what is a leadership or an executive coach? What is that? What is that?
Yeah, coaching. So coaching, that's a good question too, because I think there are a lot of misnomers or misunderstandings when it comes to coaching. Um, Coaching, in the true sense, is really to help someone maximize. We talk about maximizing potential, which is helping them to get more of themselves, become more aware of um, their thoughts, their beliefs, their mindsets, things like that. It helps people to sort of understand, expand the perspective, get clarity around things that may be impacting them, so that they can take action and get to the results they want. So the model that I use for coaching, it's ACAAR. That's the acronym ACAAR, for awareness, clarity, alignment before actions and results. So sometimes we don't have clarity around our values or what really is important to us. So we might be doing a job that totally doesn't suit us and wondering why we have no energy. Well, that's why. But we didn't think that the job, we haven't gone back to the clarity alignment piece. So coaching allows you to get that space to kind of examine things, examine the perspectives, examine, your understanding of self, and be able then to expand from there. And the leadership and executive piece, well, I work with leaders, tend to work with leaders, but I also, while they tend to be leaders in companies, I tend to also share the view that I feel like everybody should have a leadership mindset to begin with, which is we must be leaders in ourselves before we can lead others. So my a lot of what I write about and a lot of what I talk about is helping people to understand, how do I get more of that leadership from myself outside, like the mindset of a leader, how I should act, the responsibility and accountability I should have for things, myself included, and people, and the way I treat the world, the way I treat everything. So it's a mindset that allows for growth, and that's what working with a leadership and executive coach does. It helps that personal and professional development.
And I know there's we were talking about it informally before we started recording.
Mhm.
There's a taboo about seeking help or seeking advice. How
Mhm.
important it is for you to fast track your career or even fast track your work life balance for you to seek advice or help of professionals like yourself?
I think it's critical, to be honest. And I mean, I think it's unfortunate that locally we have, maybe regionally too, we still have a taboo when it comes to asking for help, especially when it's something that's not tangible. I mean, all of us will go to the gym and have a coach, a fitness coach. We probably go to the doctor, most of us. and get the doctor to assist us when we're not feeling well. But if it's something more in the space of your mind, or something you feel that you should know the answers to, you don't figure that that's something you need to ask for help for. And I mean, like in the workplace, there are lots of things that mentorship can help with, coaching can help with. Be wasting probably a lot of time. So why not seek out people, professionals in your network, or the people that you work with, or people you can find to support your growth and development? I mean, why not? I think that's smart, don't you?
That's definitely smart, and that leads me to another question that comes to mind. How important is it to set boundaries in the workplace to find that balance?
I think it's really important to have boundaries. So you understand, I mean, from the perspective of understanding what your role is, sometimes we can overstep, and go beyond. And nothing is wrong with going beyond and above and beyond what you are asked to do. However, if it's becoming a problem, like if you're being overwhelmed and your core rule isn't being done because you're busy, assisting everybody else, then when it comes time for your performance review, it may not look as good for you. So recognizing when it's important to have, understanding your role, understanding time commitments, understanding, as you say, the other priorities we talked about. I think it's
Hmm.
helpful to have your sense of what your boundaries are, so that you can uphold them as necessary.
And speaking to the boundaries, how important it is for you as an individual to understand and monitor your mental health at the workplace?
Oh, that's critical. You can't really do much. You can't really do too much well if you're not feeling in a good. If you don't have the best mental space. So I talk a lot about positive mindset and positive intelligence as a way to improve our mental well-being, or fitness, mental fitness, as we talk about it, which is like a resilience factor. So think about, I mean, we all have challenges in life. We all have things we have to do that difficult, or sometimes feels impossible. But it's how we respond to those challenges that determines the outcome that we'll get. So if you feel like, if everything that comes at us and be like, oh, this is terrible, this is bad, it's going to be, it's just going to be that much more difficult to get past it. So
How would you define a positive mental or a positive mindset at the workplace?
in the same way I just defined it, as in terms of mental fitness. So it's the ability to respond to challenges with a positive versus a negative outlook. So challenges come, timeline moves up, something is crazy. Um, you can say, oh my gosh, this is going to kill me. It's going to be horrible, blah, 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 blah. You still have the timeline. It did not change. Or you can say, okay, timeline change. Let me see what I can do to, what can I get out of this? What might be the gift or the opportunity here? We talk a lot about that in positive intelligence too. Looking for the gift or the opportunity in the challenge that would help me to grow. So I'm going to learn how to do something much better because this challenge came about. And that helps you to find different solutions, to sort of, again, be more aware of potential, potentially better ways of doing things versus the other way, where you would be spending a lot of energy um, in the more negative, what we call sabotaging space.
The
So,
question that comes to mind is, there a difference between positive mindset and emotional intelligence, and what is that relationship at the workplace?
so emotional intelligence is about being able to understand your own emotions, read the emotions of others. It helps you to develop and maintain good relationships with others. So when we have emotional intelligence, you see a colleague or you see someone having trouble, or you understand for yourself what is happening. The fact is, we are reacting emotionally to everything that's going on, but we're not always aware. And the thing is, emotion drives our thoughts and therefore our behaviors and actions. Because what drives our thoughts drives our perspective. It drives the lens through which we see things, and therefore how we interpret whatever is going on in front of us. So it's very, very important to become emotionally intelligent, to understand ourselves, understand others, be able to respond accordingly and in different ways. And the positive piece on it is understanding that we have both sides of the spectrum. We have negative and positive emotions. Human beings, we have a negative bias. So we tend to, because we have a survivor mind, through the ages, if we didn't have a survivor mind, we probably wouldn't be here today, right? So, so we all have the fight or flight kind of response. So it's understanding the emotions and then being able to handle, it's like coming to yourself using, which what we talk about is using your body. So your mind is sort of like going all over thinking, and a lot of the feelings and so on come from there. The sensations are in the body, but we calm ourselves and come back to center through our body. So we use breath, we use touch, like the finger exercise. I don't know if you ever saw my video with that, which is a positive intelligence thing, or any form of awareness of your body allows you that little disconnect from the thoughts of the mind, or the feeling, that the emotions that you're feeling. You could either name the emotion or, as you say, come back to your body. So that allows you to kind of get us a pause so that you can think more clearly to be able to respond. So in a work situation, that's really critical. Something's happening. People can get really, worked up, but you want to be able to pause so that you can make the best decision in the moment for whatever is in front of you.
And talking about pause,
Mm.
I want to give you the opportunity of telling your brand story, because not very often you hear somebody is a leadership executive coach and somebody who actually coaches you to be on your life path. And that brand story, how did you get to that point?
Okay, let me see if I can get it the short version. That broad story. Okay, well, I've been in leadership for quite a number of years in the banking and finance sector, and I kind of got thrown into it, I suppose, like everybody else.
Same way I got thrown into film. It's the same.
Exactly.
I've
So
been doing television since I was 17 years old, so I didn't even figure out what was a career. And then, hey, this is 23 years later, I'm still in it.
there you go. So so came out of school, university, eventually started in banking, and my first job when I came out of university was a supervisory role. So I had a small team. It was just 2 or 3 people. I think it was 3 of us in all. So me and 2 guys, and so that was a supervisory role. So that, in a sense, is the beginning of my leadership. And then as my career path progressed, thrown into other roles where I'm leading bigger teams and units, but never had actual training, right? So you got training along the way. People told you, taught you things, or you just learned it the hard way. You make a mistake and you realize,
Yeah.
okay, not to do that next time. But the thing is, I was always very interested naturally about human behavior, what makes us tick. I think it was for my own understanding, for my own development too, as I went through, as I said, working with people in different situations, and sometimes through very tough situations. And then eventually, I think the calling became so strong that, okay, I got trained as a coach in one of my jobs, but this was a leadership as a coach kind of training. And I'm like, you know what? I like this coaching. I think I want to, learn more about this. And so when I got a coach, that was my thing. I asked him, all the questions about what it is I needed to do to become a coach, parked it. And then a couple of years later, took a break from work because the course I did was like a 18-month course. So it was like over a long while. Yeah, I took a break from work and said, I'm going to train in this and maybe go back out to the working environment or not. And instead, I decided that I think this is what I'm meant to do, help people develop their leadership acumen, develop their understanding of self, creates more leaders, you know, along the ranks, so that our companies and country by extension can benefit from that experience. And it's really about helping people to grow. I talk a lot about thriving versus surviving. I feel a lot of us are just surviving. We getting by every single day, but we don't know. We haven't found the mindset yet to figure out how to actually thrive. And so I
Yeah.
want people to be doing more of that. Yeah.
And what are the strategies to thrive? Because a lot of times I'm involved in a lot of activities, but I feel like I'm surviving. I'm not thriving. I don't have that double time. I don't have that time for R&D, because you're always working, hustling. How important
Mhm.
it is to get into that mindset of thriving, and no longer be any mindset of just surviving.
Well, I think I think to feel like you lived a really fulfilled life, you want to find the opportunities or the things that actually give you more energy. So thriving really to me is about, a lot of it is about energy. It's about how you feel about what it is you are doing. So I would say, like, if you have a bunch of activities, as you said, and you're very, very busy, but you're not feeling like you're thriving, then maybe not all of those activities are what you should be doing. So maybe you might be saying yes to things that maybe aren't in the category of, ticking the boxes of giving you that feeling like you are doing, like you're living at the highest that you can be living at.
Mm-hmm.
So thriving also is about a lot about what we talked about in positive intelligence, and that mental fitness, that mental resilience. The fact is, we will all face challenges, and what we do in when we learn how to become more mentally fit, we learn to become, we talk about being more sage like. So the life is like this. You're in, like, you're in the water, it bobs and weaves. The
Yeah.
idea is, how do I bob and weave with the waves? I'm not fighting all the waves all the time. I'm not fighting, like we talk about traffic. I remember you said this and I was kind of smiling. We can't change traffic, so what are we gonna do? Fight it every day? Boy, would we just be drooling. No, we figure out what to do because we have to
Yeah.
sit 3 hours in traffic.
So my
Yeah,
strategy is, I find a podcast on YouTube and I listen to
exactly.
it. Or I find an
Exactly.
audiobook and I listen to it. Mainly
Exactly.
because, as you rightly say, that I can't change it. Or I'm not in a position to change it. So the best thing I can do is use that opportunity to learn something new.
Yeah.
Subliminally or directly, I still take it as an opportunity to learn something new. And
Yeah.
on that topic of learning something new, because I said 10 minutes, but wow, this conversation could go on for a long time because it's such rich information. I'll tell you one thing: when you're creative, you go to two different extremes. It can be very positive, and then it can be very negative. You can be
Yes.
very creative, then it can be very destructive.
Yes.
And as I got older, I realized, as you rightly said, in through the conversation, and I know we feel like it's all over the place, but it's not. Through the conversation is basically grounding yourself, understanding yourself. Through that grounding and understanding myself, it has helped me get to a point where I realize, is either you're gonna be creative or you're gonna be destructive. Choose. Is either
Mm.
you're gonna, like we rightly said earlier on, because either you're gonna strive or you're going to survive. And Mike on the
Mm.
Mic is my opportunity for me to switch my mental and have an outlet to be able to put my creative juices together and maybe help a community. And on that topic of helping the community, if you guys are looking at this video and still looking at this video, because I know we've been talking for a little while, please share. Please share the content. Please share. You don't know who you can help. If that might have that one person who feel like, surviving, and now they could understand that there are people out there that can help you on your life path. You don't need to be the traditional, because I'll tell you one thing. When I did my MBA, I thought I was getting a big whack. I thought, yeah, well, Mike, no cameraman, no more, no, Mike. And look at it. It's been 3 years later, and I still am doing what I accustomed doing, but I find so much more joy doing it And is you rightly said it during our conversation, from helping others, from finding the part, from telling other people's stories. And that's what this platform is here for, showing you Trinidad and Tobago, or showing the wider public, that there are different organizations, different people, different way of thinking. You don't normally need to find the traditional part. And once you find fulfillment, that's what I gather from our conversation,
Mhm.
you are on your life path. And it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to be in a situation where you feel this no longer satisfy my needs or my wants, and to say to yourself, time for change. And it's okay to seek change and to find change. People like Emily are out there to give you that help and to give you that comfort and to be able to help you on your life path. I love the business name because it's in alignment. But as we look to wind down the interview, I know it feels like it was all over the place, but I definitely enjoyed the conversation, and I hope somebody out there enjoyed the conversation too as well. As we look to wind down the interview, what are the beginning steps or the strategic steps that an individual could take to finding that work-life balance, and understanding that that work-life balance is linked to your life path, that's linked to your individual health, well-being, and finding that harmony of life, work, life path, and that balance that helps you become a better individual.
Mhm. I think maybe just do, you can't change anything if you don't know where you are. So I would think maybe just take a little stock in terms of how you are spending your time, and maybe, so say you draw a circle and this is my time. How am I spending it? And then maybe a circle with how would I ideally like to spend my time. So you might have family, work, career. Sorry, I said work already. Social life, exercise, whatever. You come up with your 4 or 5, or 6 key areas, and look at where the gaps are, and then determine, okay, so maybe I'm spending too much time in work, as you say, as most of us feel sometimes. But is that because there are instant? Is that because at this point in time that's important to me, and I don't mind spending that much time in work, um, but I want to spend a little more time with my family instead of my social or the community or whatever it is that I'm doing. So maybe, I would say the best thing, just figure out where you are and where you want to be, and then come up with a little plan to make small shifts. We don't have to do drastic shifts. Let's do small baby step shifts to get you there.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you for coming here on Mike on Mike. Definitely was a pleasure having you on today's show. If you guys are out there, Emily, if they want to get on their life path and they need help to do that, how can they find you? How can they be on that path?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn with my name, Emily Chee Wah. They can find me on Instagram. The handle is at Your Life Path, or Facebook at Your Life Path. And we have a website, yourlifepathco.com.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming here on my. I feel like I just come through
Thank
like
you
a
so much, Mike.
conversation with a guru. I feel so grounded. I feel it relaxed. I feel like I go meet the family, have dinner, and be smiling based on this conversation,
Well,
because
I am so
ultimately
glad.
I feel like I'm on my life path. It might be a little bit messy, but who says it has to be structured?
Who says?
But
It's your
yeah,
life. You live it to
it's
the
my
best
life.
you can. Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Emily.
Mike,
Thank
for
you for
having me.
coming
Yeah,
on the show. Take care.
you too.